My name is Ethan Walker. I'm not the kind of guy who believes in fate or destiny. I believe in power, wealth, and the kind of charm that makes people bend to your will. I was the man everyone in this city either wanted to be or wanted to be with. My name opened doors, my face graced magazine covers, my net worth soared into the hundreds of millions. But none of that could prepare me for the day I met Emma, or the day I lost her. It all started on a night that was supposed to be like any other. The Vesper Lounge was our usual haunt, a sleek, high-end bar tucked into the heart of the city. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting soft golden light over marble floors and leather couches. The air buzzed with the kind of confidence that only the rich could afford. The clinking of expensive glasses, the muted laughter, and the subtle scent of wealth filled the room. I was there with my closest friends, Jason, Matt, and Liam. And we were the kings of this city, or at least that's how we saw ourselves. We'd met in college, bonded over our shared ambition and love for expensive things. We were inseparable, a tight-knit group of millionaires living life without consequences. That night we were on our third bottle of D. Macallan 25V, the laughter loud and easy. Jason, ever the instigator, leaned over, a mischievous glint in his eye. "Ethan," he said, slurring slightly from the alcohol. "You think you can get any woman to fall for you?" I smirked, setting my glass down with a soft clink of, "Course I can. You've seen it. They're practically lining up." Liam chuckled, his eyes scanning the room. "Yeah, but what about someone, different?" I raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" Matt leaned in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Not your usual type. Not the models or the socialites. I'm talking about someone who isn't obsessed with your bank account." Jason's eyes lit up. "In fact," he said, his gaze locking onto a figure across the room, "how about her?" I followed his line of sight to a woman sitting alone at the far end of the bar. She was Tijo, plus size, with dark hair that cascaded down her shoulders. In soft waves, she wore a simple, elegant dress, her curves accentuated in all the right ways. But it wasn't her size that caught my attention. It was her tash smile. Genuine, warm, unguarded, in a way that felt out of place in a bar like this. Her name, as I'd later find out, was Emma. Jason grinned, nudging me with his elbow. "Bet you can't get her to marry you." The table erupted in laughter, the idea absurd and thrilling all at once. But I thrived on challenges, on proving people wrong, and the alcohol made the decision easy. "You're on," I said, downing the rest of my drink. "I'll have her saying yes in no time." I approached Emma with the same confidence I used to close business deals, but from the moment I sat down, I realized she was different. She wasn't dazzled by my wealth or charm. She didn't fawn over my expensive watch or my designer suit. She met my gaze head-on, her eyes filled with a quiet intelligence. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice calm and steady. I flashed my best smile. "I just couldn't help but notice you sitting here alone. Thought I'd keep you company." She arched an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "Do you always assume women need company?" Her response caught me off guard, but I recovered quickly. "Only the interesting ones." She laughed, a soft melodic sound that felt like a balm to my ego. And just like that, the game began. Over the next few weeks, I pulled out all the stops. Lavish dinners at the city's finest restaurants, weekend getaways to exotic locations, and gifts that would make anyone's head spin. But Emma wasn't like anyone I'd ever met. She appreciated the gestures, but never let them define our relationship. She talked about art, travel, and her dreams of opening an art therapy center for kids. She listened when I spoke, genuinely interested in my life beyond the surface. And the strangest part, I started to enjoy her company, more than I wanted to admit. But I had a bet to win. 3 months later, I proposed. It was at the rooftop of the Aria Hotel, the city skyline glittering in the background. I dropped to one knee, pulling out a ring that cost more than most people's homes. Emma gasped, her hands flying to her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "Yes, Ethan." And just like that, I had won. Or so I thought. The wedding was nothing short of extravagant. A grand ballroom filled with Gentil crystal chandeliers, Chaco gold-trimmed decor, and a guest list that read like a who's who of high society. Emma walked down the aisle, her dress hugging her curves beautifully, her smile radiant. She looked breathtaking. And for a moment, as she reached the altar and slipped her hand into mine, I felt something stir in my chest. But I shoved it down. This was just a bet, a game. The first few weeks of our marriage were a blur of public appearances, lavish vacations, and expensive gifts. But behind closed doors, things were different. Emma was kind, patient, and genuinely interested in my life. She listened to me rant about work, celebrated my successes, and comforted me during my failures. And me? I was distant, detached. I told myself it was part of the plan. But every time I saw the way her face lit up when I walked into the room, or the way she left little notes in my briefcase, wishing me a good day, a part of me felt guilty. Then came the Paddy turning point. One night, I came home late from a meeting. Emma was in the kitchen, baking cookies, something she did when she was stressed. The house smelled of vanillas and cinnamon, and soft music played in the background. She looked up when I walked in, her face lighting up with a smile that made my chest ache. "Hey," she said, holding out a plate. "I made your favorite." I took the plate, murmured a thank you, and sat down at the kitchen island. The silence between us stretched, heavy and suffocating. Finally, she spoke. "Ethan, do you love me?" The question hit me like a punch to the gut. I opened my mouth to respond, but the words caught in my throat. I saw the hope in her eyes, the vulnerability, and in that moment I realized something terrifying. I did. I loved her. But the truth, the real reason I married her, would destroy her. Days turned into weeks, and the guilt gnawed at me like a relentless parasite. I became even more distant, avoiding her whenever I could. Emma noticed, but never pushed. She gave me space, hoping I'd come around. But then everything came crashing down. One evening, while I was out with the guys, Jason, drunk and reckless, let it slip. "Man," he laughed, slapping me on the back, "I still can't believe you actually went through with it. Best bet we ever made, huh?" I felt the color drain from my face, because standing just a few feet away was Emma. She had come to surprise me, holding a box of my favorite dessert from the bakery down the street. She heard, everything. Her eyes met mine, and the look of betrayal on her face shattered me. She didn't say a word. She just turned and walked away, leaving me frozen in place. When I got home, she was gone. Her clothes, her paintings, even the little notes she used to leave me, they were all gone. All that remained was a single letter on the kitchen table. "I loved you, Ethan. I thought you loved me too. But I guess I was just a game to you. I hope one day you realize what you've lost." The days that followed were the darkest of my life. The house felt empty, hollow. I tried calling her, texting her, even visiting her favorite spots, but she was gone, and for the first time, my money couldn't fix it. I realized then that I'd lost something far more valuable than any business deal or bank account. I'd lost Emma. Months passed and the pain didn't fade. I threw myself into work, trying to drown the guilt in meetings and numbers. But nothing worked. Everywhere I went, I saw her smile, heard her laugh. I missed the way she hummed while cooking, the way she fell asleep with her head on my chest, the way she made me feel like I was more than just my money. Then one day I saw her. It was at a charity gala, one she used to organize before we met. She looked stunning, radiant, her confidence shining through. She was talking to people, laughing, her eyes bright and full of life, and she wasn't alone. Standing beside her was a man, tall, kind-looking, his hand resting gently on her back. My heart sank. She had moved on, and I was still stuck in the past. I never got the chance to make things right with Emma, but that experience changed me. I sold my penthouse, donated a large portion of my wealth to charities, and started working with organizations that supported people like Emma, those who had been overlooked or underestimated. I learned that love isn't about appearances or games. It's about honesty, kindness, and seeing the person beneath the surface. And while I couldn't undo the past, I could make sure I never made the same mistake again, because sometimes it takes losing everything to realize what really matters.